Hello. This video is long overdue, but believe me, I've tried filming this multiple times, but I just felt like I was forgetting something or leaving something out because I was rushing. And that's also why I have my laptop right in front of me. And I want to make sure that I can adequately get my points across and like answer everything. I'm changing up. Where do I start? Okay. Let's start with what do I do, right? What is my job? What do I do? And I technically have two different titles since I work two different jobs. So I'm an assistant media archivist and a library and media preservation lab assistant. The former, as an assistant media archivist, I work at a film library, and I've been doing that for a little over 2 years. And that's really where I got like my foot in the door and kind of a better understanding of the information sciences field, or GLAM actually is a better way to put it, which is galleries, libraries, archives, and museums. Okay, so what do I do in these jobs? They both kind of entail a lot and have similarities but are kind of distinctly different. So in both I get to handle motion picture film, but in my lab assistant job I'm working with a lot of different formats, specifically like magnetic media, which entails like VHS, audio cassettes, reel-to-reel, microcassettes, high, like a lot. Audio and video, right? But then there are other formats that aren't necessarily magnetic, but you get what I mean. Analog, outdated formats, as well as sometimes like born digital materials as well. How did I get into this? I think that's the main question that everyone asks me. So before I get into how I got into this, I want to say everyone's experience is really different. Like truly, the more people you meet in this field, like the more like I don't like there technically is like a traditional like route you could go, but like a lot of people like fall into it or pivot from a different career into information sciences, or GLAM. And for me, I feel like this has like been a path, like the only path. Like this has been the path. It was just like unbeknownst to me for a long time, but it didn't fully like click for me. But I'll get into that because I want to break it down pretty like linearly rather than going all over the place. My initial career interest going from high school into college was documentary filmmaking, and when I went to undergrad, my major was initially documentary film studies, because I literally wanted to be Haley Benton-Gates from States of Undress on Viceland. Like, first of all, Viceland, I was like, that was my shit. Like, that was the channel I always had on right after school. But I really wanted to be her. I realized it was more like I love talking to people, don't get me wrong, but I was like not like I didn't at the time I didn't have like an interrogative personality. Confrontational is a better word to put it. And I found that a lot of the classes were kind of like demanding that, and I was like, that's not really my vibe. I'm just here to key, and like learn about people and talk to people. Like, what are we talking about? I enjoyed like video editing for a long time at that point, and so naturally I kind of found myself more so becoming interested in post-production rather than full-on journalism. So I switched to television and radio, which is now called television and digital media production, right? And during that time, and a little bit before when I was in high school as well, my mom was like, you need internships. Like, she was really on it. Thank you, Mom. Gotta like give her hella props, because that is like so crucial in how I like got to this point. I'd done a few internships with nonfiction post-production companies and projects, and that's like really where the first seeds were planted. In those roles I did a lot of research and organization of footage, equipment, tons of miscellaneous data, and it was like seemingly boring like work that like obviously other people didn't want to do, so that's why interns are doing it. But I actually really loved it. It had reminded me of an earlier internship that I had done digitizing film photos and assigning descriptions and metadata in high school. Graduating from college, I didn't like go straight into into GLAM, right? I did other things between then and now, mostly like retail, content, like freelance stuff, like marketing. And actually, like, marketing was my last gig before I got into this. So, after I had a brief stint in marketing, I forced myself to like take a step back and like reevaluate, like, okay, I don't need to freaking be obsessed with my job, obviously, but like, what are tasks and responsibilities that I don't mind doing day to day? Like, what's the kind of work environment I want to be in? What are previous positions I've held, whether paid or unpaid, where I felt like I didn't mind the work, right? Even though I was doing it like repeatedly or like for however long. And thinking about that led me back to those boring yet like honestly soothing and enjoyable tasks. I also really love working with media, whether it's like editing or like literally anything. And so after that, when I was looking, I was insanely lucky to find the entry level position that I did because it perfectly summed up like my admin and analytical skills with my overall interest in film and history. That very same job made me interested in pursuing my MLIS and learning more about the field and just the ins and outs, like literally everything. So I'm gonna try to leave most of like the advice slash learning more towards the end of this, because another thing that I get asked about a lot is pursuing my MLIS, which I am right now at UCLA. I'm wrapping up my first year, and getting your MLIS or Master's in Library and Information Sciences is like it's pretty much a required thing. Like I think it really depends on the exact track that you like have in mind. Not to say that you like absolutely have to know exactly what you want to do, but like talking to professionals in digital asset management, a lot of them are like, you could get your MLIS, but like really like if you know software and like coding languages and like whatever, like you could still get into there. Or like find positions that in that kind of realm. But that's also not to say that there aren't gigs out there or that it's not at all possible to like get into GLAM without having your MLIS already. Clearly, like it's just more so something that most professionals would suggest, especially like all the ones I had met early on prior to even knowing what it was. And another point that I'd make is that like across like speaking with professionals who've been in the field for like over 15 years, but also like you'll see on Reddit is people will mention that like specifically like getting further into the field, like the further you get, like the more likely that is to come up as a requirement. Again, it really depends on the position, but like libraries or archives for the most part, like you'll probably need it. So, whereas I'm going to school in person, there are other options. You could just get a certificate from an ALA accredited online program, which some of the options might be cheaper for you, or like say if you already have a gig and you need some flexibility, online might be the route to go. I'd considered other options, but I chose UCLA because of the in-state tuition, something you should also keep in mind if you're looking into schools. One of the few programs with in-person dedicated classes and a lab for media digitization and preservation. I really enjoyed the hands-on aspect, notability, just like I prefer being in person because it's like you're connecting with peers, professionals, just like overall community, as well as like guest speakers or like, I don't know, workshops that happen. And also UCLA was low-key my dream school for undergrad, and my mom wouldn't let me apply. But now I'm here. Okay, now into my advice, learning more section, which kind of ties into school already, which is look into schools, or rather looking into schools. First, Reddit was insanely helpful for me. I had learned a lot about my program specifically through Reddit. And I will say there are a lot of negative Nellies there. Like, I'm not gonna hold you. But there is even more sage advice and just like experiences from other people, like different, or like people who have been doing it for a while, or people who are specifically into like rare books, or like, I don't know, like audiovisual media. Like, like there's different niches, there's different like things going on. A lot with my hands, bro. And again, I already brought this up, but like whether you need to get your master's truly depends on your career trajectory. But I want to say like it is pretty much like pretty much everyone I've spoken with is like, yeah, you need it. Well, specifically for me, it like makes a lot of sense. Also, I just realized I've been waving Karilla Kuma around. I really hope that's not fucking with the audio. Um, Again, things to consider: ALA accreditation, in-state tuition slash like comparing tuitions between places, because for some, online might not be as cost effective as in-person into or in-state tuition. And then also like look for mention of the specific things that you're into, like again, rare books, public librarianship, audiovisual archives, that kind of thing. But generally, if you're looking to step into the field, maybe get some experience, but not necessarily go back to school right away, or maybe like you're kind of in between, for getting an understanding about the experience that is needed, I will say read job descriptions to see like, okay, what kind of experience do I need? What are they even talking about? Because I can only say this so many times. I'm hoping this is the last time I say it. I'm sorry. But like it really does depend where you're going, like what like niche or like, I don't know, aspect of the field, the position itself. Like there are so many different positions, and that's exactly why there's so many positions that you can, or not so many, but there are positions you could technically get without an MLIS. That are kind of like getting your foot in the door. Specifically, like I know people who work at public libraries who don't per se have an MLIS, or like I don't even know if they're getting one, or like they have the intention to, or like they've been working and now they're pursuing their MLIS. And if you've like no experience whatsoever, one thing I will say is you should try to reframe any previous job experiences like in your head to make it work for some kind of entry level position. Like, say you worked in retail managing products and like specifically like assets, that shows organizational skills. Um, I'm trying to like think of like other ones, but like really like a lot of my prior experience was retail experience, and for my first like job that got me kind of into this, I like was like really emphasizing, okay, yeah, my internships, but like my more recent experience, how um I had taken on like a lot of organizational responsibilities and analytical responsibilities, hands on, that kind of thing. Also, like jack of all trades, but like in a more professional regard. There's also different fellowship or internship opportunities that are open to people who are interested in the field but like don't have like, the experience, or like a lot of experience per se, or they're just now like getting into this field, say with the EMEA Pathways program. I think there's also the Getty Marrow internships. I think that's like for undergrad. So like don't please look into anything I'm saying. Another thing that I will recommend, especially if you're just trying to get a better idea of different positions or the field as it is, because again, like I'm like assistant. I'm assistant, right? Like I'm not like like I don't know. I obviously like being in the field, I know stuff, but like there are people who know more and also have a good layout of the trajectory of these fields. Um, but something that I did that I would suggest you do is literally just cold call, like connect on LinkedIn. People love talking about themselves, which is great, but like also just like because, okay, my like understanding of the field was super limited prior to starting my program because now obviously I'm like way more immersed in it. Um, but something I did to start gaining a better understanding or like what jobs looked like in like specifically like AV archives or film archives was cold connecting on LinkedIn, okay, and seeking informational interviews. I think that is key to not just like getting opportunities, like not being like, hey, like give me something or give me an opportunity. No, like just like get an understanding, like what, just get advice from them. And trust me, people do like talking about themselves, but more than that, they like to be helpful. They like to be of use. I feel like, you know, in any field, there are people who, whatever, like gatekeep, whatever. But I feel like for the most part, most of the people I've met have been like super like willing to share their experiences or advice and just like want to be helpful. That's how I met one of the first people who gave me the advice to do like the MLIS program. And she also put me on to the Archives Bazaar. There's the Southern California Archives Bazaar, which is free. And it's a good chance of like networking, but also again, just like more so understanding the community that you're stepping into or the field that you're stepping into. I even met people who were also applying to the program. Um, this was like a what, like a couple years ago or like a year ago or so before I started, or it had actually like yeah, 2 years ago before I even applied. But there are also like usually students from a variety of like different programs that might give you advice or be willing to like connect outside of the bazaar. And overall, like the general theme that I have is literally just start browsing. Some places to start are like r slash librarians on Reddit or r slash library science. Also, like if you're interested in like moving image archives, you could look into EMEA or FIAF. Again, cold call or cold connect with people on LinkedIn. Ask for informational interviews. Look into community archives organizations or even just go into your local library. I will say I was applying to like library jobs and like just trying to get in, and that didn't work, but you never know again. So just keep going in. Then also look into schools, look specifically like think like, okay, am I more like into rare books or like audiovisual materials, like, and kind of like go from there when like looking. Obviously, like you can keep like a pretty broad horizon when looking for experience, but I will say I think like your key interest does play a big role in whether or not you should get your MLIS, like where you should go, you know, etc., extracurriculars, whatever. Um, and again, Reddit. I love Reddit. Any question I have, Reddit. Some of these, I didn't, like, some of the things I was looking up on Reddit, like, pertaining to archiving and that kind of thing, like, I didn't even post the question myself. Someone had already asked it. Okay, like, there's so many, like, posts and so much insight on Reddit, so I would really recommend using it. Like literally even like make a post yourself. Hopefully one of the negative Nellies like don't fucking latch on. Because obviously funding isn't great at the moment. And you know, I think that's another thing. Like, a lot of people on Reddit will stress, like, really think about, like, it, like taking out loans for school and, I don't want to, like, fully get into that um, because I don't want to discourage anyone from trying to pursue um, a career or path in GLAM and like information sciences. So you can go on Reddit for all the like realism. This is just like my path, my like general suggestions of like if you're like interested in this. Um, but yes, thank you for watching. Hopefully it wasn't too long and I was able to edit this down. And then I got all my points. Let me know if you have any other questions. Yeah, okay. Well, that's all. Okay, bye. An example might be tape in Los Angeles. Yes, I think that's the end. Like my list ends after this. So I've hit all of the bullet points that I think I wanted to hit. Okay, actually, let me like actually, I don't know if I'm gonna put this in the beginning or like leave it here. I've gotten questions specifically about how I've gotten like specific jobs or like the specific jobs I have now. One of my jobs is at the school that I go to. And then the other one, I was literally like scouring like the fucking like backlogs of like job listings. And I remembered like one of my professors in undergrad had like recommended entertainmentcareers.net, like literally, which also like requires like a membership, but girl, I have Google. Also, I'm a girl. I'm low-key an FBI agent. Like I can find anyone's email, and I did. Um, so it was really like look lots of looking. Um, and yeah. I'm like, but anyway, my camera's about to die, but I I hope this has been insightful or helpful in some way. Like, again, cold call or cold connect with people on LinkedIn, ask for informational interviews, look into community archives, organizations, or even just go into your local library. I will say, I was applying to like library jobs and like just trying to get in, and that didn't work, but you never know again. So just keep going in. Then also look into schools, look specifically like think like, okay, am I more like into rare books or like audiovisual materials, like, and kind of like go from there when like looking. Obviously like you can keep like a pretty broad horizon when looking for experience, but I will say I think like your key interest does play a big role in whether or not you should get your MLIS, like where you should go, etc., extracurriculars, whatever. Um, and again, Reddit. I love Reddit. Any question I have, Reddit. I didn't like some of the things I was looking up on Reddit, like pertaining to archiving and that kind of thing. Like, I didn't even post the question myself. Someone had already asked it. Okay, like, there's so many, like, posts and so much insight on Reddit. So, I would really recommend using it. Like, literally, even like make a post yourself. Hopefully, one of the negative Nellies, like, don't fucking latch on. Because obviously funding isn't great at the moment, and I think that's another thing. Like, a lot of people on Reddit will stress, like, really think about, like, it, like taking out loans for school and, I don't want to, like, fully get into that, um, because I don't want to discourage anyone from trying to pursue um, a career or path in GLAM and like information sciences. So you can go on Reddit for all the like realism. This is just like my path, my like general suggestions of like if you're like interested in this. But yes, thank you for watching. Hopefully it wasn't too long and I was able to edit this down. And then I got all my points. Let me know if you have any other questions. Yeah, okay. Well, that's all. Okay.